You're listening to Cinematic Adventures, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be a better man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
He's looking at you, kid.
I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Would you be shocked if I put on something more comfortable?
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Adventures. If you're taking us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Every time you guys find us, please subscribe, leave a review, leave us some very nice constructive criticism because I'm a little sensitive. But we'd love to have you guys here. If you guys are also listening to us on the go, you can find us at our website, themisfitfaction.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Cinematic Adventures or at The Misfit Faction. We also have our Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and all sorts of fun ways for us to talk to you more. That's weird. But anyway, so I am Paul, and with me today, as always, is Sean. Sean, how are you today?
I am good, sir. How about you?
Oh, I'm just Ducky, living the dream, man.
Oh, you're always Ducky.
I am. Thank you. But and also making her return for 2 podcasts in a row, and she definitely didn't tell me that I had to do no special effects or grand showmanship for her second episode.
Well, that's what post-production's for.
I know. As I said in the last podcast I do all the editing. From Bibliophiles Assemble on Instagram is Melanie. Melanie, how are you today?
Pretty good. Glad to be back.
Probably contemplating divorce. But anyway. What? So we are back. We are continuing our Mel month with Mel from Cinematic Adventures, from Bibliophiles Assemble. Edit. And we are going to be moving right along with a movie that does not really have the same clout. Is that the right way to, Sean? You're better with words right now.
I mean, are you, in terms of what? Are you saying it doesn't have the same clout as what we did last week, Robin Hood?
Maybe.
Again, depends on who you ask. I mean,
I'm asking you.
And you're asking me. I think it's on about the same level as Robin Hood, Men in Tights.
But we are talking about History of the World, Part 1.
We're only talking about Part 1 today, though, right?
Yeah, we don't have time to do Part 2.
Okay.
We have copyright issues and sponsorship and all that. It's just a logistical nightmare.
You can't find that movie anywhere. It's
yeah.
like lost footage, It's just crazy. Can't.
It's the weirdest thing. It's right next to some of the other Disney discarded projects whose names I won't say on the podcast. But just pulling back the curtain a little bit, we recently rewatched this movie. I think I've only seen this movie in its entirety like 2-3 times. Because this is a movie you don't have to watch in its entirety. It's part of the fun of it. But there was nothing more fun than watching Melanie do every single quote and every single song and dance number. The only time we ever do that is to Grease 2 also.
This is true.
This is very true. But before we jump into the topics, we do have a little bit of news. Nothing too crazy. It's a very strange time for movies still, but a better time.
Still, but it's getting there.
Yep.
We're progressing.
We had our Godzilla vs. Kong episode where we didn't get a chance to talk about the box office, but it's making money.
It's making money. It has no competition, but it's making money.
You know what, though? It's like the prettiest stripper. Just let it stay on the stage and make its money.
Okay.
All right. It's been a weird morning, guys. I'm so sorry. My wife's just shaking her head at me at this point. But we got to go to the theater though for it, and on all intents and purposes, like the theater was pretty crowded.
That theater was probably full capacity for what the capacity was allowed to be.
Yeah. They still had to social distance and all that, and we still had to wear a mask the whole time. But so unfortunately though, with movies right now, we are still getting delays and people pushing movies back because even though Godzilla vs. Kong is making money, it's not the kind of it's
not the money it would normally be making.
But we have movie delays from Top Gun Maverick. I know I'm still really excited to see it.
I was actually really looking forward to that movie.
Yeah.
When it actually does come out, and also Mission Impossible 7.
I can't believe they're up to 7.
I know, it's like the Fast and the Furious franchise in a way.
But Mission Impossible is getting better.
Well, that was the thing. I love Mission Impossible 1. I think it's very underrated.
Yeah, you're a big
fan.
But
I did not care for 3, but then since 3, they've been pretty good. So.
And then fantastic, Fast and Furious.
Fast and the Furious has not been any good, honestly, since Paul Walker died.
Yeah, they kind of went over the top with it.
It's just they don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's just a paycheck.
It's fine, God bless them. I wish I could do that, but
I hope they go to space. That's what I'm looking forward to. But and then also I believe Dungeons and Dragons, which I didn't even know was coming out.
You're talking to the wrong guy when it comes to that.
I'm actually really excited for Mortal Kombat coming out this week or this month. We just listened to the new theme song, and I didn't dance around the kitchen to it. I'll get myself hyped up.
By didn't, you mean you did?
There's no video footage, so it didn't happen. But anyway, we also have Netflix just buying the rights to Knives Out
sequels.
Yeah, the Knives Out sequels. I think 2 and 3. 2 with an option for 3.
I want to say 2. Yeah, definitely 2. And then I think if Rian Johnson wants to do a third one, he has the right to do it
for over $450 million.
Man, he cleaned up. Good for him. I mean, listen. Say what you want about Last Jedi.
It sucked.
I feel good for him. At least he's continuing, because at least that didn't let him that destroy his career.
Yeah, no, good for him.
And also, Knives Out was very good. It was a very good present day Agatha Christie, detective story. I thought that worked. So we'll see. And you're going to franchise it, and Daniel Craig, hopefully will have his post Bond
set up already to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we all know this is going to be his final Bond movie when it ever does finally come out
on Netflix. No, imagine. I could see it.
It's Sony. It's Sony. So I don't know who would
Netflix.
jump at that.
Netflix would probably get it because they just did an agreement with.
They've
Sony.
been all the streamers were just trying to get Bond over the last couple months, and they've been turning them down, which I think in the long run might hurt them, because I don't know if they're going to make the money that they are expecting.
Yeah. Especially depending on how well this Bond movie does.
Well, if it all goes in the way it's been going, it's going to be good, because you had good Casino Royale, crappy
Quantum of
Solace, very good Spectre.
Skyfall, you mean?
Skyfall, then crappy Spectre, and now
we're back up to good again.
Now we're back to good again.
I'm looking forward to seeing that in the theaters.
So,
but and then the last bit of news before we jump in is Indiana Jones is just chugging along.
I am just why. I you could easily have said why for Crystal Skull.
Harrison Ford has become.
He showed his age in Crystal Skull, and that was almost 15 years ago.
Harrison Ford has become movie star Bruce Willis right now. Bruce Willis will do anything.
No, but that's a knock on Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford's not Bruce Willis.
Oh no, I'm just saying in regards to he'll just do a project. He doesn't. He doesn't. They asked him, was Han Solo a Force ghost? He's like, I don't know what the word I can't say on a family-friendly podcast. A Force ghost is Harrison Ford. He's just,
but he's not Bruce Willis.
He's just crashing planes.
Yeah. Wow.
He was fine.
I know, but still.
Oh, geez, what? Too soon? Did you know the plane?
Did I know the plane?
I don't know, Sean. I'm so tired. But anyway.
Oh, were you talking too much about Superman?
We were talking a lot about Superman. That's on the Multiverse Fancast. You can find that.
How happy were you throughout that episode? Were you like?
We got some very good discussion in. I'm thoroughly excited, and I think I refrained myself.
I see the bloody knuckles, so I know there was some good discussion.
There was also a lot of agreement.
Okay.
You were invited, Sean.
I was working. I'm sorry.
No, you weren't. We know that. But we are going to jump right into one of the more unique Mel Brooks movies, I think. I think that's a great way to explain it, because it's a movie that does not follow a traditional plot per se. It also plays very fast and loose with its story, but it's got some great characters and some great character moments, and some things that we have to be very careful how we articulate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of quoting. I don't know if it's going to be as quotey and as giggly as Men in Tights.
Oh, we'll be giggling. We just can't say why we're giggling.
What's really concerning me is I have 12 things of notes. Melanie's still taking notes on the movie, and she has an entire notepad.
And then half another page.
So I'm going to go get a college degree so I can keep up with her.
You have a college degree.
It's not helping. I might need another one.
What? Not many college degrees help.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, nowadays, yeah. Look at Lori Loughlin. But anyway, what is she listening? I'm sorry.
Could you imagine?
That'd be so cool, actually.
My grandpa knows her.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Fun fact.
Hope she didn't get him into college.
No.
But all right, so we are going to jump right into, first and foremost, the cast list, because going story by story, you also have to remember that the cast has a lot of, well, Mel Brooks plays like 47 roles in this movie. So Sean, why don't you start us off on the cast list?
Well, we've got the man, the myth, the legend. Mr. Mel Brooks is the star of the movie. Obviously, he also is the director and writer. Do you want me to list the characters he plays, or just give you the, the actors' names?
Surprise me.
Well, Mel Brooks plays, as you said, 47 different characters. That's false. He plays only about 5 characters.
Why you gotta call me out like that? I mean, my wife's right here.
We just want to be accurate, that's all.
So he plays Moses. He plays Comicus, Torquemada, a character called Jock, and then he plays King Louis, not from the Jungle Book.
Oh, dang it.
Then we have Mr. Dom DeLuise as Emperor Nero, Madeline Kahn, the great Madeline Kahn, as Empress Nympho.
As a kid.
Harvey Korman as Count de Monet, but everybody likes to call him Count the Money. Cloris Leachman as Madame Defarge. Mr. Gregory Hines, who this was his first film role as Josephus. And then we have some lower character actors. Ron Carey as Swiftus, which is Mel Brooks' sidekick in one of the stories. Sid Caesar, the great pioneer of comedy television, as the Chief Caveman. So that was always fun to watch. And we have Mr. Orson Welles as the narrator of the entire movie, which adds, like, just to hear his voice gives the movie, like, respectability, but it makes it even funnier when you hear a serious person like Orson Welles and then you get the Mel Brooks jokes. Mm-hmm. So it's always great.
All right, so Melanie, tell us your earliest memory of seeing this movie.
Oh, man. I definitely watched it with my mom. She's, like I said in the last episode, she's been my go-to person for great movies and everything, and it was something I didn't, this whole movie as just a whole, I didn't really get anything watching it so young, around like 7, 8, 9 years old. Didn't understand any of the jokes, kind of just laughed when my mom laughed because I was like, oh, it's funny, she's laughing, ha ha ha, I get it. So I would quote things, and pretty much everything that we would quote would be any scene with Madeline Kahn in it. So I know we'll get into it a little bit later, but just hearing my mom say, yes, no, 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 yes. It was just, I'd sit there and I'd laugh because it was funny, and I would think of the scene, and I had no idea what she was doing until I was older. And I was like, oh, I was, a kid. My mom was making this reference. I had no idea. Totally inappropriate, but still hilarious. And even now, I can just quote it. And she actually listened to our last episode, and she had some thoughts, but we'll talk, we'll debrief afterwards. But she was pretty impressed. So I'm curious to see if she listens to this one as well. So if she does, hi, Mom. Thanks for the Mel Brooks exposure.
Be so proud of me. I'm on a podcast.
But, so, like elementary school, like 4th, 5th grade, I was watching this movie, and it's been really great.
Oh, that's younger than me, I think, than when I first saw this.
She goes to school the next day, and she's singing, yes, no, 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 no.
No, she's singing the Spanish Inquisition.
I probably was, to
well,
be honest.
sometimes you just need to send in the nuns.
Just dancing.
Well, it blew my mind. I didn't know this until recently. The Vestal Virgins are all played by Playboy Playmates. That's hilarious.
And we have Hugh Hefner as a cameo.
Yes, Hugh Hefner as a cameo. We have a lot of good cameos. Sean, what are some of the most...
we got, besides Mr. Hugh Hefner, one of the funnier ones in the beginning is B. Arthur. Plays the unemployment insurance agent. So she has a great one-on-one with Mel Brooks.
She was going on a wine break.
I'm sorry, I'm on my wine break. John Hurt plays Jesus Christ.
What a superstar.
You know, he would go on, obviously, to cameo in a later Mel Brooks movie. But, you know, just another classical trained actor who is willing to have a good joke here and there. Barry Levinson, the Academy Award-winning writer and director, he plays the column salesman at the beginning in the Roman Empire. He was, I'm not sure if we're going to get to High Anxiety, but he has a great cameo in High Anxiety. That is one of my favorite scenes in that entire movie. Other than that, that's probably the big
ones.
The big cameos. There are some other good character actor cameos, but those are the big ones.
Now, I'm gonna ask this question to both you guys, and then you can take turns on who's gonna answer. Do you think this movie, if you're gonna watch this movie for the first time, do you think you need to have enough knowledge of history to fully appreciate it, or does it add little or no value? So Sean's already shaking his head dramatically, so Sean, tell us which way you're shaking your head.
Well, because you're looking at me, I could care less about history of the world, and I found this movie hilarious. So it didn't matter. I mean, there are some. I mean, if you don't know there are 10 commandments,
there's 15.
That joke's gonna, be like, okay, I don't get that, but you don't really. I don't think you really need to be that
knowledgeable about.
I mean, knowledgeable. I mean, you want. I don't think you have to be. A genius of the knowledge of it, but
I think you're a genius.
No, you don't.
I think you're very smart, Sean. Your mother and I are very proud.
Wow.
I love your mom. She's so nice. But anyway, Melanie, what about you? Do you think that having a general knowledge of history helps, hurts, indifferent about this movie?
I am on the opposite spectrum. I love history. I love everything about it. And I think knowing it's not like it really gets to be... You don't need to know every single thing about history, but I think it covers the main things. It covers the Stone Age, the Roman Empire. It covers the Spanish Inquisition, the French Revolution it ends with. So if you have an idea, those are all things that, and we were just talking to Rob earlier about this, those are all things that you learn in like World History
101, yeah.
Yeah, so
flashbacks.
Freshman year of high school.
Freshman and junior, sophomore. Ugh.
Yeah, world history classes. But I think I personally think it adds to it because to hear, King Louis and to see, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony and just all of those things, I think it's pretty funny. I think it makes it that much more funny. But I don't know. Paul, what about you?
I find that I think it's more funny now, not only just being older and getting the jokes, but you could say that a lot about movies we all watched as kids that we weren't supposed to be watching as kids. But I think it adds a little something when you kind of like, oh yeah, okay, all right, Spanish Inquisition, all that stuff, I get it. Like, I think and we'll talk about our favorite bits, but I think it really adds to the French Revolution because there's weird historical piss boy. Like, that was a thing. Like, a weird thing. Yeah.
For me, as I said, I think I had watched a lot of the movies that this is spoofing, like the Sword and Sandal,
those
Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, those types of movies. So, like, to see those and then see this movie joking on them.
You were able to sit through those movies. They're long.
Ben-Hur?
The Ten Commandments?
Thank my grandmother for that. She loved that movie.
I think 10 Commandments, they used to air it on
10
two nights.
10 Commandments was tough.
It's 4 hours.
10 Commandments is a tough movie for me to watch, but Ben-Hur, I think, is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Don't worry, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a tough movie for Rob to watch. So
it's a tough movie for a lot of people to watch.
That is not true. But
that is very true.
Am I in the minority on this in
yes,
this room
you
right
are.
now? Oh man, rough. But anyway, so we're gonna go scene by scene or segment by segment. And
very good.
Yeah, I almost said scene by scene, and we would have been here for the next day and a half.
So in this scene,
this scene, the lighting just hits so perfectly. No,
so the movie opens up.
The movie does open up, but before we get into that, as I was saying, I will ask the question. There are, I believe, there's Stone Age, Old Testament, Roman Empire, Spanish Inquisition, French Revolution, and the epilogue. So there's 6 scenes basically.
Yeah, you keep saying scenes.
I keep saying scenes. And I'm going to keep saying it. Okay. So I'm hosting. It's fine.
Do what you do.
Edits. But you just hear
segment.
But which segment is your favorite?
Ooh.
And give us a reason why.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It can be just the one that you laugh the most at, the one that you think is the best written. I already have a feeling I know what Melanie's is, but I also feel like I might be surprised. So, Sean.
You're going to go me first.
Yeah, because you were not ready
that's
at all.
That's tough because, I mean, well, the Old Testament is literally 5 seconds long. It's one joke. And it's probably the funniest joke of the movie.
And so, spoiler alert, I will say it. That's my favorite segment. Because I don't know what it is.
I honestly think that might be the most memorable part of the movie, besides, the famous line. It's good to be the king. But
I liked it better in Robin Hood.
Yeah, no, it works better.
Less creepy in Robin Hood, which is weird.
Obviously,
yeah.
That's tough. When I was younger, I always liked the Roman Empire scenes because I just thought the jokes. I think I understood the jokes a little more.
It was more stand-up comedy type, more visual gags.
Now, as an adult,
is it
the French Revolution is just, I think it's
wonderful.
Pure, just perfect writing and just over the top and just really hysterical. I mean, it really is. Same thing with I didn't get a lot of this as a kid. So the Inquisition, as an adult, listening to the lyrics, and I'm just like,
oh,
wow, okay, this is great. So, but put a gun to my head right now as an adult, I'd say the French Revolution is probably my funniest part for me.
All right, Melanie?
That's my least favorite.
Really?
Wow.
I really expected you to go there.
No. I'm having a hard time deciding between the Roman Empire and the Spanish Inquisition.
Mm-hmm.
I think because of my dance background and just...
It's very well choreographed. And
it's beautifully choreographed. Yeah. And
as we said, he's He's a big Broadway guy. So, he has no issue doing a big Busby Berkeley musical number in the middle of his movie.
Which I'm okay with.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
Well, if you look on Internet Movie Database, it is labeled as a musical, too.
True.
Which is pretty interesting. I don't know. I'm having a really hard time picking one. I would say I love those two sections. I'll call them sections of the movie. Because I just think they're so great. I love them for different reasons. Mm-hmm. The Roman Empire segment is a larger portion of the movie, I feel. I feel like everything else is kind of just like little snippets.
That's fair. I always, for me, it's between the Ten Commandments that always gets me. And I'm going to say a scene that does it for me, but I don't know if the rest of the segment does. The scene of them going out for the Last Supper.
Oh, yeah. That's technically part of the Roman Empire. But
but like... That's actually my favorite scene in the entire movie. I just think it's
really
as a kid I got it.
Well, yeah, you get it.
And now as an adult who works with people and not always the most fun way, it's even better just watching the whole process unfold. And Mel Brooks at the end when he's in the painting and it's pure Mel Brooks.
Yes,
it is literally taking his essence and putting it in a scene, especially a scene of arguably very important historical context.
And this is 1981, so this is 2 years after Monty Python did Life of Brian, which was just vilified because everybody thought it was blasphemous, so...
Speaking of Monty Python, this movie always reminded me, as a kid especially, I always got them confused, but
Holy Grail?
With Holy Grail, which is another movie. It's very similar.
Movie.
It's a very good movie. It's very similar in their storytelling style, so I don't know if that was just a product of the times or a happy coincidence.
Also, they both kind of feel... I know exactly where I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like Deep Impact and Armageddon. They just happened to come out around the same time, and they were about the same. Or what are the volcano movies?
Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak, that was it. But those sort of things, as a kid, I was like, are these the same movie? Are they sequels? But I had a very squeaky voice as a child, apparently.
No.
Thank you, everybody, for just letting it ride. Melanie's still doing notes. That's why she's just kind of tuning me out a little bit. But so let's jump into. We'll go segment by segment, and we'll just kind of talk briefly. Obviously, the Roman Empire one is the longest, so it's probably gonna have the most discussion. And they get longer as they go. It feels like a little bit.
Well, no, because you have the Roman Empire, but then the Spanish Inquisition is 5 minutes long, and then the French Revolution is 20 minutes, maybe, give or take.
So what we're saying is Paul was not prepared for his statement and was completely wrong.
You're not. It's not that you're not prepared. It's not a
You know what's really interesting about this movie? It still made money.
Yeah.
It tripled its budget.
True.
Budget of $10 million in 1982. That's a lot of money. I think up until this point, it was his highest budget.
Probably with all the sets that they had to build for this movie, I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, because they don't skip out on anything, and that's the best thing about Mel Brooks. He does it, like, he commits, and I really just like him, and I'm so glad we're doing this month. I'm having a blast already. But so the movie starts off with what, Sean?
Well, it starts off with a particular scene that really doesn't have part of any of the segments.
I didn't get it as a kid.
No, which is it's spoofing 2001 with the whole beginning of that movie. But then again, as you have Orson Welles narrating this,
you have a bunch of monkeys.
It makes it even funnier. That's what just works about it. So
it's just...
But then we delve right into the Stone Age, where Sid Caesar plays the chief caveman, and nice little vignettes of what the caveman had to endure. I always love the fire. He can't get the fire going, and then the guy walks in with the fire on the stick, and he's like, takes the rock and he warms the rock up,
and then they try and do it again.
And he's like, "Oh, it doesn't work. Go away."
I like the, and of course, our first marriage hits her over the head, and our first homosexual marriage hits him over the head. It's just great visual.
And then the music, how they discovered music. He drops the rock on his foot, and he's just screaming, and then they start singing the Hallelujah chorus. So
which is even.
But you know which one that always made me laugh as a kid is when he's painting. So
why is that?
Well, it's funny that I know why you're thinking make me laugh, but it was just always our first artist was born, and then with the artist comes the critic, and you just got the random caveman just staring at the painting, going like, and then he pisses on it, and of course, as a 8-9-year-old kid, that's funny. So. Yeah.
As an adult who we do creative things, it's disheartening and so sad, but still pretty funny. Do you know what the worst about scenes like that is? What if they had to do more than one take?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I could see them all giggling.
Oh, it's probably very hard to... Because, I'm sure Sid Caesar is a comic genius in his own right. So I can only... Again, as we said in the Robin Hoods, I can only imagine there's bloopers somewhere, and it just... It surprises me. Maybe there aren't bloopers, but if there are, I would love to see them.
Melanie, thoughts on the Stone Age and marriages and arts and music created at this time?
I don't know, the Stone Age sequence, that was also probably one of my least favorite ones. So it was just like, all right, I got to get through this to get to the Roman Empire. Like, I just got to
power through.
Power through.
I think it does.
I do love Sid Caesar, though. I agree. He's a comedy genius. I didn't even realize it was him until I was older, and I watched it again, and I was like, oh, it's the guy from Grease.
Yeah. That's it. That's how I knew him growing up, and then you research what he was in the 50s, and then I wish you could find the old show he was on. Oh my God, I've seen clips, and it's comic genius. But they had so many great writers on that show. Mel Brooks was one of them. Neil Simon, Woody Allen.
Woody who? Is that the cowboy from Toy Story?
It could be his last name. I don't know.
You never get Woody's. You only get Buzz's last name.
True.
He's the only toy with a last name. Or Bo Peep, I guess.
Well, is Bo Peep or is it Bo Peep? Yeah.
Is Rex Tyrannosaurus Rex? Is like it? I don't know. Questions. We need answers. But anyway, so yeah, I think Stone Age also does a really good job at setting the tone. You know exactly what kind of movie you're about to sit down and watch. I mean, even if you don't know Mel Brooks, this is pure Mel Brooks. So moving on, we have the Old Testament. Now, again, sometimes this movie feels like a really good episode of Robot Chicken, where they do like the brief little skits and then they do the long ones. And the Old Testament still makes me laugh. Like it's just so clever.
Well, because it starts off and it's Moses went to the mountains and God spoke to him, and I only found out recently that the voice of God is Carl Reiner, which makes it even funnier. And I always loved, "Can you hear me?" And he goes, "Yeah, I hear you." A deaf man could hear you.
I always like when they take historical figures and they make them more like normal people.
Relatable.
Like, relatable. Yeah, that's perfect. Yes, I can hear you. God.
It's like, dude. It's like, what was that? It's like, oh, nothing. Goodness, forget it.
Still better than the burning bush. But anyway. So here's a fun idea for this one. So we find out that originally there were actually 15 commandments.
Oh.
They didn't teach you that.
No, they didn't teach us this. They didn't.
It's one of those, shh, don't talk about that.
Oi, 10 commandments.
And apparently that was not in the original script.
It was a fun little addition.
It was an addition that they came up the idea with, and to me, again, as I think that might be one of the more memorable moments of the movie.
Mm-hmm. So here's the question.
Do you guys want to go over those 5?
That's what,
the 5. The 5 that we dropped?
I think that would be wonderful.
Project for next week, or
Melanie's got it.
All right. I see all this research that you're making fun of me for doing.
I was not making fun of you.
I have more content.
That's why Bibliophiles Assemble is way more successful than the Misfit Faction on Instagram. By the way, guys, check her out on Instagram. It's a lot of good stuff.
Thanks.
I take some.
So you ready?
I take some of the pictures.
Ready?
You do. Okay. So the 5 more don'ts on the third tablet are: don't impregnate, don't laugh, don't buy, don't break, and then there was another one that you can't really read, so I don't have that.
That's actually really funny.
4 out of 5.
And you know what? 4 out of 5 ain't bad.
Right.
So go through it one more time. Just
okay. Don't impregnate.
Oh man.
Don't laugh. Don't buy, and don't break.
That's
good.
Yeah, it makes me think of Spaceballs when it's don't they have the "We Break for Something" bumper sticker on the ship?
Oh yeah,
I don't remember what it is, but
I don't remember.
That's actually really funny. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
That was a nice surprise because I was gonna just have us all guess at what those other 5 were gonna be, but that's even.
Where'd you find that?
Internet Movie Database.
Love it.
I've never heard of it.
No.
I have the app.
I feel like I looked. I never saw that.
I never saw that either. Yeah, that's really funny. But
it's trivia.
It's under trivia.
Under trivia.
I had the trivia.
It's on trivia night.
It's on
ever anything about this movie?
The scene where the showgirls rise out of the water is actually replaying in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's just an old trick.
Yeah, it's an old one.
Yeah.
They did it in Austin Powers.
Yes.
When he comes out of the water. Oh man, that's actually really funny. What do you think the 5th one would have been though for a Mel Brooks movie? Yeah, a 5th one for Mel Brooks. Thou shalt not waste fresh air.
Foreshadowing in the next movie.
He does do a lot of. I mean, they reuse the Jews in Space music for Men in Tights, which we talked about.
Well, yeah.
I
don't even.
Shake it more than twice. You're playing with it. Oh no, they're don'ts. They have to be don'ts. So.
Don't shake.
Don't shake. Don't dance. No, not from Mel Brooks. I'm sure if you guys listening have an idea of what that last 5th commandment is, please send it to us. We would love to read them next week on air. But so after the Old Testament, we get into. I would say this is even like the most well known of the movie. Like when people think of this movie, this is the one that they think of. They think the Roman Empire, starring Comicus.
A stand-up philosopher.
I love Comicus, and I love the idea of it. But I also really enjoy the column salesman. I don't know why.
That's Barry Levinson.
It gets me.
Columns, don't touch the merchandise. I like all of those. All the little like the street vendors, that they're the plumbing.
Yeah,
like, it moves water from one place to another.
I like when they do. It's very Flintstones almost, like where they take like a modern idea or invention and when
they go to Caesar's Palace and it's the actual Caesar's Palace from Las Vegas. Like, I mean, as a kid, I was like, okay, I got that one.
Yep. But what's a highlight from the Roman Empire segment that really just sticks out for you, and then we'll go from there.
From the opening.
No, just in general. Just in general.
From the whole thing? Oh,
that's tough. That's tough.
All right, so we'll go through the whole thing then. So we have Comicus, who is a stand-up philosopher, as mentioned. He's notified by his agent Swiftus.
I do like the unemployment.
Oh, that's great.
Because I like the gladiator before him goes like, Gladiator, did you kill last week? No. Did you try to kill last week? Yeah. All right, well, you got one more week of unemployment, and then, we're going to have to change your status.
That's awesome. And then when he gets up,
when he gets up, I don't know, I can't say it, but just
did you philosophize this week? It's really funny. And then of course his agent ruins it for him.
I just got you a job.
But so he's he tells him that he's landed a gig at Caesar's Palace.
The main room.
I am completely okay with you with either one of you guys constantly interrupting with.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm totally okay with it.
I'm trying to only pick the lines that I can actually say and not feel like I have to be edited. So
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But so en route, they Comicus meets and falls in love with a Vestal virgin named Miriam, played by Mary Margaret Humes.
Yes,
this was her film debut.
And what a debut it was.
But you missed somebody before they meet Miriam.
I was going to say, and they also befriend an Ethiopian slave named Josephus, excuse me.
Played by the late, great Gregory Hines.
He is fantastic.
He steals
wonderful.
the movie. I
would agree.
As a kid, I always gravitated toward his performance because I just thought he was hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, he does a really nice blend of physical comedy and actual, verbal comedy.
And it was supposed to be Richard Pryor.
That's right.
But right before they were about to start filming, he had his famous, accident where he got burned over a good part of his body. So it was actually Madeline Kahn who recommended Gregory Hines to Mel Brooks. And I don't know how much because you could see Richard Pryor in that role.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know how much they changed to give to Gregory Hines. I think the dancing probably, I would assume, was probably for him. Because, he's a dancer, a very good dancer.
Fantastic tap dancer.
But he just knocks it out of the park, I thought.
Oh, yeah. He kills it.
Yeah, I agree. He, a fun fact I have a ton of fun facts.
Oh, I'm
obviously.
all about it.
Fun facts.
So, Gregory Hines is he was a huge tap dancer, and in all of his movies from here on out, they gave him a little bit of a dance routine. Like in this one, it's the Ethiopian shim sham. And the shim sham, for those of you who don't know,
I need a little sand on the stage.
Yeah. So the shim sham is just it's a little impromptu dance routine, and he blows it out of the water. He's just his presence as a performer.
Jumps off the screen. Jumps off the screen.
Incredible. Oh, yeah. It really is.
But I always loved it's I cannot go to the Lions because they only eat Christians, and I'm a Jew. I'm a Jewish person. And then he pulls his shorts up and he goes, Jewish, huh? He goes, he missed. He jumped and he missed.
I didn't get it at the time.
I know, but that type of humor I found fun, even though I was I don't really get it.
So they are going to kill him, though, but they're able to get him into the service of Empress Nympho, played by Madeline Kahn. Because
man, do we miss her. She was just
incredible.
Anything she did was just pure comedic.
I have a weird attraction to her in this movie. I don't know what it is. No. Yes.
Are there any openings that this man might fit?
Oh, I got a great corkscrew.
It's a hip crowd.
All right, so at the palace, Emperor Nero, who's played by Dom DeLuise, is, gorging on food and just being the worst kind of person, waiting for his entertainment.
Treasure bath.
Oh, man. These two are going to break out into giggles every couple of minutes. It's going to cause me to break out into giggles, so...
That's why we do this.
Is so great.
Take a drink.
Perfect.
He's another one that's underrated because you get him in Robin Hood Men in Tights as Don Giovanni, but then you get him as Emperor Nero.
Love it.
It's just it really is. And then as the director in Blazing Saddles is even just as good too. So
yeah. So speaking of Emperor Nero, so Comicus actually comes in and he's doing a really good set, but then he forgets who his audience is and begins to flounder after making jokes about the emperor.
Oh, yeah.
Politics.
Even back then, politics and comedy apparently didn't mix all that well.
Right. Not when you can be killed for it.
When you die at the palace, you really die at the palace.
So during this, Josephus accidentally pours... Josephus, I'm sorry. God, they yelled. They actually yelled at me. Wow.
Because it was literally 5 minutes ago that we did this.
I'm doing my best. This is my second podcast today. Josephus absentmindedly.
Did anybody else hear that?
pours a jug of
the
water.
world's smallest violin is playing somewhere.
Wait a
Because you
minute.
said it was your second.
There it is.
I'm gonna edit in the loudest violin ever, just so you guys know. So let me just
give him like Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah.
Fiddler on the Roof. I'm just gonna write down the timestamp for this and learn how to edit in the process. But yeah. So during that time, Josephus.
There you go.
Thank you. Seen this movie in its entirety 3 times.
That's all you need, though.
Accidentally pours a jug of wine into Nero's lap. So he and Comicus are ordered to fight to the death in a gladiatorial match.
Which was a suggestion from Empress Nympho.
Because she's trying to keep them alive for the Miriam's sake. Which I always found like, wow, you're taking orders from one of your Vestal Virgins. Good for you.
Good for you. Very open-minded.
Yeah, it's like, that's a boss you want to work for.
Oh, yeah. She's obviously employee of the month. But so they fight their way out of the palace, and they get... Hold on, I did actually forget a character.
Oh, who'd you forget?
They also meet a horse.
Oh, Miracle.
Named Miracle, yes. So we do get arguably one of the funniest scenes after they escape their gladiator match. And it is picking out the escorts for the orgy tonight. All right, so Melanie, can you do the yes, yes, no, no, no?
I'm going to start on this end.
Okay, you got this? You
Oh,
can do it.
you really want me to do
You think
it?
you can do it?
Oh, yes, no, 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 yes, no, no, yes. No, I can't keep going because I'll do the whole thing and it'll be 30 seconds.
Oh, no, I would have. That was awesome, though, to begin with. That's like right up there with me and Sean doing the When Does This Happen in the Movie segment in Spaceballs.
I got to prepare myself for that. I got to prepare myself for
that. That will be on video and on our Facebook page.
That'll be
yeah, that'll be a good one. But
so after she picks her suitors, right?
Yeah, after
very nice selection.
Very nice selection.
Very
and everybody loves QuickTime Harch. But
love QuickTime Harch.
Yeah. So the guards come in and they're looking for the fugitives. So Sean, what's the situation with this?
Well, Josephus is hiding amongst the eunuchs, and it is pointed out that that slave over there, he's rather puny. I can't.
Melanie just inflated herself.
No one else will see.
Oh, that was great. It's like,
kept the camera on.
You must give him time. He has just been snipped.
Oh,
everybody's just like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, if he's a true eunuch, then he can survive the test. Test? Caldonia. I can't even.
Yep,
I can't go there.
Caldonia has to come out and do her erotic dance.
Her seductive dance.
And so the first 3 are truly, well, the first 2 are truly eunuchs. The third one's dead.
Yeah.
As we find out. And then she gets to Josephus, and man had no chance.
Yeah, that poor feather.
That poor feather.
Yep. What a great visual. But anyway.
And gone.
Oh, that's not a line that aged well. But anyway, aged well. I had an accent for a second. I don't know what happened.
It's
but
right.
so
We're used to it.
Yeah, so they managed to escape, and they're chased by the Roman soldiers, who are led by Marcus Vindictus, played by Shecky Green. So as they gain on the group's cart, which is being pulled by Miracle, because Miracle does come to the rescue.
They do have a funny, they're in the street before they get into the thing where he goes, they start fighting, and he goes, "I'm fighting with cardboard."
I love when he's like, this place is crawling with soldiers, and it cuts, and they're all just crawling
on the floor.
Yeah, crawling on the floor. That's a little visual
And then
gag.
they come up on the chemist, played by Henny Youngman, and they're going, "What are you looking for?" He goes, "A pack of Trojans." Gee, I just ran out.
Oh God, that's so funny. But so they managed to get. They're being pulled by Miracle, and they stop in a field and request much papyrus.
I smell something familiar.
So they.
And as a kid, I was just like, "Oh, that's a cigarette."
Yep, yeah, it's quite a cigarette.
I think I turned to my dad. I was like, "Oh, that's a cigarette." And he goes, "Yeah, okay."
So he creates the mighty joint.
We are now armed with mighty joint.
And they set it on fire, and they put it on the back, and they ride off, and all of the army gets totally high.
I love that too. It's like, we just gotta keep moving, keep it cool.
We also missed Walk This Way. And they do that.
Do that
every movie. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Do they do it in Spaceballs? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
I love when the soldiers veer off the road and the not the main soldier, he comes a little later, but the second in command goes, "You men go that way. You men go that way. I'm just gonna walk right here in a circle," because the smoke is just all right on him, and he's just like.
I love when they start dancing.
That too.
They start swing dancing all over the place.
Yep.
Lindis.
So the group manages to escape, and then they set sail from port to Judea. And Comicus is waiting tables at a local restaurant, and happens to
gotta push the malt wine. We're stuck with it.
He ends up serving the Last Supper, and just as
but it's his first order.
And Jesus is telling the apostles, "One of you has betrayed me tonight." As the apostles are in fear, Comicus says, "Judas,
try the mulled wine. It's delicious."
But oh god,
I feel like Paul's rewatching this movie in his head.
I can't. It's going right in front of my eyes, and I'm trying to read, and I'm trying.
But again, it's and then you have the famous where Mel Brooks gets annoyed. He goes, "Jesus, yes, what? Yes, Jesus, what? You said what? What? Nothing. Forget it."
Well, eventually, Leonardo da Vinci arrives to take the group's portrait. And so he's upset because you can only see the back of half of their heads. So he has them move to one side and paints them with Comicus behind Jesus, holding a silver plate, which doubles as a halo.
That was always great. Mm-hmm. Even as a kid, I understood that reference.
Yeah. So moving right along, we jump into, I think that you said this was your favorite, Melanie?
One of them.
Spanish Inquisition.
The Spanish Inquisition. And it's performed in the style of a Grandois Busby
Berkeley.
Thank you. Josephus. Just practicing.
So now you're going to get Josephus right, but now we got to fix Busby Berkeley.
I'm never going to say that again in the rest of my life.
Probably, you're right. Probably.
So it's a
the great Toccamata.
So this whole thing is a song and dance number, and it's fantastic.
Well, it starts off as like you don't know where it's going to go. And it's like torture and all that stuff, and then Mel Brooks pops out in like a red, robe and hood, and you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden he just jumps on this slide, and then the music kicks in, and you're like, oh, okay, here we go.
And then they do like all the fun torture type of things, like the Iron Maiden and the water torture, but it's all like fun. Oh my God, can't Torquemada anything.
That was great. I always love that. It's like, let's face it, you can't Torquemada anything.
All right, Melanie, come on, give us some fun about that. I know you got notes on this scene. What do you got on this scene?
No, I'm just reading the lyrics for the song, and a lot of them we can't say here.
That is very true. We can't Torquemada them.
No, but it's really interesting to me because I remember as a kid, I didn't understand what was really happening, and I just remember seeing all these dancers, and I was like, wow, they're really great. Like this is really cool, and I knew it was a historical event, but I didn't know, so I guess I just assumed that it was a big dance number in history. But I think, like Sean said earlier and in our last episode, he's a huge Broadway fan, Mel Brooks, and the fact that he was able to put together, or have the idea to put together this awesome scene, just everything about it, it's flawless. I'll put a T on there. It's great, and then send in the nuns, and the nuns come out, and someone who went to Catholic school as a young child,
whippersnapper.
I was like, oh, the nuns are coming out. Okay, I get it. And then the nuns just whip off their clothes, and they're in these white bathing suits, and then there goes a whole scene of them swimming in the pool and doing all of these really cool things, and I was just a little confused at that point because I was like, I don't think nuns do that. But if they do, that's really cool.
I want to be a nun so bad.
I want to go swimming.
Go back to Catholic school and be like, where's the pool?
I know. We didn't have a pool.
That's
so
ridiculous.
So misleading,
all that tuition. No pool.
They do the walk this way joke in the song as well, where they say, Toccamata, walk this way. And he does like this penguin waddle or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a short sequence though. But it's like Melanie said. It's so well done. It's so well put together.
There are some great lines in that. Again, we can't say them because they're just so over the top, but
yeah,
just again the fact that you were able to make a song out of that, just. And I remember when he got the Kennedy Award honor, like 10 years ago, they performed like all the songs on stage, and then and this was one of them, Spanish Inquisition. They did High Anxiety. They did Producers, all that stuff.
They didn't do Men in Tights though.
No, they did. Jack Black sung Men in Tights.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so,
but
pretty funny. But I think one of the interesting things about this too, and on the back of the DVD, because people still have those, it says a little something to offend everyone. So I think, you have to take some things with a grain of salt, but that was Mel Brooks. He was making jokes about things that were offensive. He made it a little bit more relatable, and it's just one of those things where the Spanish Inquisition, I think, is the scene in the whole movie that would probably be the most offensive. But that's kind of where he was trying to go with it. He was trying to make light of something. Obviously, I understand why people would be offended by that. But it's... I don't know where I'm going with this. So you feel free
I hear you.
I think we can all agree. We posted a picture on the Instagram quote by Mel Brooks about being offensive and
politically correct,
and we live in a generation, and that's not to say whether it's right or wrong, that's very aware, I think, is the best way. And political correctness is
there's comedy, when you've crossed the line.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think anything in this movie is even close to being crossing the line.
It's all satire. It's
mm-hmm.
and that's an important thing. And Mel Brooks was not afraid to stand by his convictions and stand by his guns and be like, "Hey, this is funny. There's no reason we shouldn't be talking about it."
Yeah, and he also had a lot of clout. I mean, this man, all his movies have been successful. So
mm-hmm.
this isn't, he's
a
first-time director coming up with this. This is, a seasoned veteran
mm-hmm.
who's been, writing comedy for, at that time, 25 plus years, directing movies for over a decade. So, I mean,
I also think making serious topics into comedy sometimes makes them easier for people to, like, you turn on the news and unfortunately, it's like you're getting hammered, like just bad news. I think people sometimes listen more when it's easier, when it's made into comedy. And I don't know, I miss like our George Carlins.
That.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is also, I mean, it's about the Spanish. It's about the Spanish Inquisition. Like,
yeah.
Nobody is alive that was around during the Spanish Inquisition. So, like, to me, to be upset about that is kind of like, really, like, come on. If it was about a subject that was a little more present, closer to when it was made, I can understand there still being like, touchy, time to that. But we're talking about a time that nobody is around from anymore.
Yeah.
I think he delivers. Oh, sorry, Paul.
No, go.
But I think he delivers it in a way where it isn't overly offensive. Like he I don't think that he's crossing the line in any way. And also, as a Jewish man, he knows what would be crossing the line.
Yes.
So I think that he's explaining that event in a different way. He's delivering it through dance and music and satire and things like that. So yes, it is easier to digest, but I think it's also presented in a way where it's lightening the subject a little bit. It's not so heavy. It's not you're sitting in class and listening to your teacher talk about the Spanish Inquisition and you're just kind of zoning out.
Yeah,
like,
no,
if
I
someone
agree.
were to present this, it'd be like, oh yeah, I know that this is what happened and this, and obviously you're not going to be quoting a Mel Brooks movie in class. Well, I mean, most of us probably have.
You might get some good extra credit if you did, but who knows? Depends on the teacher.
It's like using an outside reference. You're not going to use him in an essay per se, but if it helps you remember certain things, I think that it's...
Yeah, I mean, like this movie, I didn't know Torquemada was an actual person. Like, I thought it was just made for the movie as a kid, and then, you learn, oh my God, and learning that in school, you're like, hey, wait, the Mel Brooks character? Was Comicus real too? And the horse named Miracle? But,
Miracle,
Josephus?
out of all of them. Josephus. Oh.
Josephus?
There you go.
Hey! Busby Berkeley.
Good for you.
Do I get a cookie now?
No, now you guys should go watch a Busby Berkeley musical.
I would not like to do that right now. But moving along, we have the French Revolution, and it's just so much fun. I don't think they had this much fun at the French Revolution, but I know we sure did.
Nah.
But so it starts off with Madame Defarge, played by Cloris Leachman.
Frau Blucher.
Oh, actually, my favorite Cloris Leachman, Beerfest.
That's so true.
I always forget that it's her in that,
yes.
and she's just, I brought some Bavarian sausage for you. Oh, she's a gem. We love Cloris Leachman.
Well, she's another one that
she just
passed away. Losing all these comedy greats really is a shame.
Do you have a favorite Cloris Leachman performance, Sean?
Oh, well, Frau Blucher, Young Frankenstein, is probably her top one. She was great in High Anxiety. I thought she was she has basically one scene in this movie, and that's the scene in her like bar / tavern. So I felt she was kind of underused in this movie, but she's still great for the few moments she's on the screen. That's pretty much for Mel Brooks movies for her. This was the last Mel Brooks movie she was in. Obviously, she was on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. She was great on that. She won an Academy Award for The Last Picture Show, which was a great performance. So not a comedy performance. So she's also a very good actress.
She was in The Longest Yard, the Adam Sandler version.
Still never seen that movie.
Oh, she was really funny in it. But Melanie, favorite Cloris Leachman performance? Any jump to mind?
No. I think she was a great actress. She really brought it with every single role. I mean, I'm just looking down at her list now, and I didn't know that she was on The Facts of Life. I didn't know that she was in Now and Then, which is an obscure 90s movie. Like, if you weren't a young teenage girl, you wouldn't know about it. She was in Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Oh, she's the voice of the little old lady in that. I remember that.
She was in The Iron Giant.
She's been in a lot of stuff. Same thing with Madeline Kahn. Madeline Kahn's been gone much longer, and she passed away, 20 plus years ago. But
so good.
I think, for me, Madeline Kahn, I think the funniest performance for me is Clue as Mrs. White.
Oh yeah,
because it's just so subtle. She's not over the top, but then she
do an episode on Clue.
That's it, because that's the fact that was ad-libbed, then that just makes it even better.
Yeah. So they're getting the mob ready to start the French Revolution, and King.
Sorry, I have to say one thing. She goes like, we are so poor, we don't even have a language, just a stupid accent. And then the one guy gets up and he goes, "Right, we all sound like Maurice Chevalier." And I'm just like,
oh, it's so good.
But I do like the vendors, kind of similar to the vendors in the Roman Empire. They have the vendors in the French Revolution, but it's rats.
It's all just misery.
Yeah,
just
it's
pure
like
misery.
apple cores, rats, and then he goes makes a ratatouille, and the one guy goes, "Nothing. I've got nothing to give. Nothing for sale."
But so it cuts to King Louis, played by Brooks again, and he's warned by his advisors, Count de Monet.
Count the money.
That and his associate Bernays, that the peasants do not think he likes them.
The peasants are revolting. That's right. They stink on ice.
Yeah. A suspicion reinforced by the king's use of the peasants.
I think my goal is to just have Paul break up.
Yeah. You get me. I'm trying to keep this very professional.
And then we get the human chess game, which
I was also going to say using the people as the clay pigeons in the game of Skeet.
Oh,
pull,
drifting to the left.
So
I love the peasants. They are my people. Pull.
So a beautiful woman, Mademoiselle Rimbond, played by Pamela Stevenson, asks King Louis to free her father, who's been imprisoned in the Bastille for 10 years because he said the poor ain't so bad.
The poor ain't so bad. You're lucky he's still alive.
Oh, God. And he agrees, but only if she gives herself to him later that night. Hump or death?
Humperdinck?
No, that's a different thing.
I know, but that's what they do. They do that. Humperdinck? No, not Humperdinck. Hump or death. Hump, death, hump, death.
10 seconds.
Death.
And at the last second, she decides...
Hump!
Yeah. And then, obviously he's like macking on all the ladies.
It's good to be the king.
It's good to be the king.
I love though when he
piss boy.
But I love it when he takes the sniff of something and he goes, everything's so green.
Yeah.
I really wish I didn't have to pee so bad. Get the piss boy, please. But anyway, yeah. So, I like this whole thing is just so much fun. So now they convince the emperor, or not the emperor, the king, that the revolution is building and he needs to go into hiding. So they're going to need a stand-in.
Who would look as good as the king?
So they managed to get Jacques, the garçon de pisse, also known as the piss boy, because
Your Majesty, you look like the piss boy.
He gets so mad too,
and I can't say what he says back though, but it's just great.
So they dress him up as the king, and the king goes into hiding. And later that night, Mademoiselle Rimbaud, and this always makes me laugh when she walks in and she's like, "Take me!" And she just opens her.
Harvey Korman's just like, "All right,
you're
not the king." No, I'm not. And then he goes, and
"Ravage me!
Who are you?" He goes, "I'm Count de Money." And he corrects himself. G Monet. So he's trying to get her, and he chips his tooth on the statue. He says it right into the camera too.
Yeah,
like, chipped. Dang.
But then he falls off the balcony. Doesn't he?
Count the money, and you hear him like, Demone.
So she offers her virginity to the piss boy, but he's like, "No, I think I got one pardon. You're fine. Don't worry. Your father's fine."
Like let's go out to eat. Let's look at a few nude paintings. Let's get in the mood.
So they get the senile father, played by Spike Mulligan, and they return from the prison where the peasants burst into the room and capture the piss boy, quote-unquote, king.
Jacques.
I'm just going to keep calling him the piss boy. And Madame Rimbaud. Yeah. So they're taken to the guillotine for the crimes.
Guillotine.
I really have to sneeze and I'm fighting through it, so please leave me alone. To the guillotine for the crimes committed by the crown. So they ask if he would like a blindfold or has any last words. I really wish that the executioner from Robin Hood Men in Tights would have popped up there.
That would have been funny.
What are you, size 36? 36 and a half?
One request. What is that? Novocaine. There's no such thing known to medical science. I'll wait.
So just as he's about to be beheaded, Rimbaud. Oh wait,
I was gonna wait. I was gonna see if you said the name right.
Did I say it? Rimbaud?
No. Keep going.
Muses that only a miracle could save him now, and Josephus.
Hey, we got it.
I thought you were more concerned about me saying miracle, right? Miracle. Oh man. Arrive. They managed to save. Do they actually refer to him as Comicus? Like, is he supposed to be Comicus?
No, he says Josephus, like he knows him, but then he doesn't say.
You don't
hear anyone say that he's supposed to be Comicus.
Yeah. So they all escape Paris, riding away in the cart, and the last shot of the party approaching a mountain carved with the words
"The end."
The end. So the movie's over.
Or is it? Wait, where are you going?
Coming soon.
I just wanted you both.
History of the World, Part 2.
The search for more money.
Hitler on ice.
So, the end of the movie does have a mock teaser trailer for the History of the World Part 2, which is narrated by Brooks. It includes such things as Hitler on Ice, A Viking Funeral, and Jews in Space, a parody of Star Wars and The Muppet Show. Yeah, so despite the preview, there has never been plans for a sequel. They never wanted to do a sequel.
No.
Yeah. And it's just
which is fine, because I don't think you could have done anything.
Well, it's a play on the History of the World Volume 1, which was written by Sir Walter Raleigh while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London. And he couldn't finish it. Sucks to suck. But that is History of the World Part 1. The only one.
Very good. Very good.
I am tired. But final thoughts on History of the World Part 1. Who would like to go first?
Oh, you both looked at me, so I'll go first. It's definitely in my top 3 Mel Brooks movies. Probably my number 2, I'll be honest. Robin Hood Men in Tights being the first one.
And that's fair.
Do I think it's the best one? No, but it's definitely my second favorite. I don't know, Sean. What about you? Where does it fall? Do you think?
As you were speaking, I was like, was counting. I was like, which ones do I like more? It's probably outside of my top 5, but that doesn't demean it in any way. It's just, I think some other films are better, but it's always a good go-to movie every now and then to get a really just crazy laugh out of it. It's always going to go down for me as like kind of the forgotten, underrated Mel Brooks film. It's not as memorable as Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein. It's probably not as to our generation as popular as Robin Hood Men in Tights or Spaceballs. So, like I said, it's right in that middle ground where it could go either way.
I agree. Like I said, this is one of my later Mel Brooks movies. I definitely saw it much later in life. Like I had seen Spaceballs and Men in Tights much earlier. So I find this movie it's like Sean said, it's a little hidden gem. It's a forgotten gem.
Yeah.
When people think Mel Brooks, they tend to think of their Spaceballs and their Robin Hood Men in Tights and Young Frankenstein. Did they show it in Spaceballs when he's going through all the movies?
Yeah, I believe they show every one of his movies.
Every single one, yeah.
Which was funny. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah. But I like this movie. I can put it in and I can watch it, and I think I have more fun watching it with Melanie just because it's always...
I reenact everything.
Oh, it's great. It's funny watching a movie like this and then watching some of his other movies because there are always similarities. You can definitely tell Mel Brooks' style. But I think I appreciate this movie more now, having seen it, a little bit later, and also, as an adult, it's just, it's rated R for crude sexual humor, language, comic violence, sex, nudity, and drug use. It's kind of right up in our wheelhouse.
Doesn't hold back. I mean, he, again, you did Blazing Saddles, and then, Young Frankenstein, Silent Movie, High Anxiety were very... Frankenstein. Were very, like, they were not, too crude or anything like that. They had their moments, but this movie, I feel like he was just like, let's go all in.
This is his R-rated movie, like his real R-rated movie.
Well, Blazing Saddles is...
yeah. But I mean, but like you get like Spaceballs and Men in Heights, like aside from a few
it's much
jokes.
more family-ish, not family friendly, but that kind of preteen humor,
Mm-hmm.
That we still giggle at.
We do, because if you don't find this funny, what do you find funny? That's my question. It's like, I get that there are certain types of comedy that you may like different. Some people like differently, but funny is funny to me.
And you're a funny guy.
Some people say.
We say in this room, but I think this movie is it's a great example of comedians getting to do their thing, and he didn't have any restrictions. He definitely he let loose in this movie. It was like, all right, Mel, make your movie, have fun.
I don't think anybody at 20th Century Fox was going like, oh, you can't do that. You're writing a whole song about the Spanish Inquisition, really?
Release the Mel Brooks cut.
I mean, again, when he was doing Blazing Saddles, they'd be like, I don't know about that. I don't think you can do that, because it was only his third movie. By this time, it's like, it's Mel Brooks. Just let him do what he wants to do.
Just let him do his thing.
Just let him do his thing.
All right, so any last thoughts on History of the World Part 1? Melanie, anything in your notes that you want to share?
Not my notes, but just looking at the filmography for Mel Brooks, History of the World Part 1 was right in the middle. So the producers, which is one thing that we haven't spoken about. So the producers was one of the first ones, and that, there was not a reboot per se, but the first one came out in 1968, and then in 2001 there was the Nathan Lane and Matthew
one.
And then they did the movie version of it, which is just horrible.
Yeah, so that was just something that I wanted to touch on. But if you haven't seen History of the World Part 1, I definitely would suggest somebody. Was that you?
That was you, dear.
No, it wasn't. It was down here. Oh, yeah, it was. Anyway, if you haven't seen this movie, I would strongly suggest you view it at least once. I think it's one of those movies that just watch it. If you don't like it, if it's not your thing, if it's not in your repertoire, it's fine. We probably won't be friends, but it's fine.
Oof. High pressure right there.
And you know what? If you haven't watched this movie, why are you listening to an hour and 10 minutes of us discussing this movie? You're weird, we said lovingly.
I was about to say, you just called our listeners weird.
if they listen to almost an hour and 10 minutes of us talking about a movie that they haven't seen, I have questions.
Well, they're listening because they're a misfit, so they actually fit right in here.
Oh, that is perfect then. But Sean, any last thoughts on History of the World Part 1?
It's the last Mel Brooks movie that you get to see, you know, Madeline Kahn in, Harvey Korman, Cloris Leachman, who were, you know, staples of his earlier works. His next movie, his career kind of, I want to say History of Part 1 was like his peak. Because again, I'm not criticizing Spaceballs, I'm not criticizing Robin Hood Men in Tights, but they were not on the level of his earlier works. They are in our minds, but to the, you know, movie-going public, I don't think they were. So I always feel History of Part 1's kind of like his peak of his career. Then he goes on to do, you know, To Be or Not to Be, Spaceballs, and then Robin Hood Men in Tights, and then sadly his final movie, Dracula Dead and Loving It. But I just always like this movie as it's kind of just, again, it's his over the top, you know, one. I really do want to. I would love to ask him if he had any influence from like Monty Python on this movie.
There's a lot of parallels,
you know, with Holy Grail, and then obviously Life of Brian. You know, I wonder if he kind of was hearkening towards those two movies with this movie a little bit. So.
All right. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on History of the World Part 1. We are back next week. I believe next week is Young Frankenstein.
Most likely. We haven't 100% said yes, but
most likely Young Frankenstein. We definitely know Spaceballs will be at the end of the month leading into...
And then we're still contemplating the one in between.
I could see like a Blazing Saddles.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But if there's one that you guys suggest to us, maybe one that we haven't mentioned too much or one that you think we would really giggle our way through again, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Silent movie.
You can find us on Facebook at Cinematic Adventures and also the Misfit Faction, both on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and more. If you guys find us on any sort of podcast service, please subscribe and leave reviews. Everything you guys do that interacts with the show helps us grow, helps us build, and get out to more people, because that's what we want to do. We want to talk about movies with more people. So the more interaction, the more fun we get to have. But that's going to wrap us up. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Sean.
I'm Melanie.
And we will be back next week for Mel Brooks Month Part 3.
It's good to be the king.